now, have you ever been intrigued by this case scenario? I mean, which case scenario? Whereby you find like when men get more money, they tend to have more wives or many wives, all right? By the way, if you're watching this from Africa, you can relate to what I'm saying and some case scenarios from the developed world, okay? Now, and the other thing is that when women get more money, they tend to be alone or independent. Now you ask yourself, okay, what's the science or the psychology of money behind this kind of a thing? All right, now you ask yourself, okay, what really goes on? And today, by the way, guess what? Today I'm going to debunk this myth. I'm going to explain to you bit by bit, obviously when I refer to money and the psychology behind it and the reason as to why this goes on. You know why? Because it has really affected a lot of people in terms of the interpretation. For example, try today go say the idea of, hey, if you are a lady, get yourself a guy who is struggling down there, go up with him, and once you guys will make money, you're going to enjoy the life. Guess what? There is something that always, or most of them will tell you, hey, if you stand by him, he gets in a position whereby he gets more money, he's likely to bring on board more wives or more ladies or whatever the case. Therefore, I feel like, hey, I can't just stand here at the end. When I wait the winners, they come to me when they're successful and we move along. At least it will hurt me less when I got him with money and he's doing anything or whatever he want to do with women out there, provided I know, hey, I never contributed much to him in terms of the finance, rather than me seeing him doing exactly that in my eyes, and I know I actually tried the best that I can to support him to be, or support my family to be where we are. And guess what? That is usually the recipe. It's usually the genesis of all the problems that we have. And by the way, guess what? I know you'll be like, okay, money does not mean that. Money plays close to over 75% of the divorces that we have in this world. Not only Kenya, in this world. So if you understand this psychology, therefore we're going to have a distinctive roles and contributions as far as the marriage is concerned, and going to save us a lot of money. And on the other hand, have you asked yourself, when ladies get more money, they feel like the urge of them living by themselves, they want to be, independent and those kind of things. Okay, fine, let's get to the business. Now here, I'm going to write men. Okay, here I'm going to write men or whatever the case. Now, see, there is we as human beings, we are wired differently and the way we perceive things. Whenever you give a man money, guess what they comes in? Remember one thing, generally or from the beginning, or let's say from ages and ages, men were meant to be the providers, take cares, and all those providers, not only financial but also physical, spiritual, emotional, and all those kind of things. They provide, they ought to take care. Okay, now when you give them more money, guess what they think? They think of bringing somebody on board to take care of them, and then what do they expect in return? They expect submission, they expect love. No, not really love, they expect submission, they expect to be highly spoken of. All right, so if they can be able to gather more people speaking highly of him, their ego, or his ego, is actually massaged, and he's actually do more. And that's why you find most of the wealthy people, once you acquire the money in life, by the way, these are very simple stages of life. Once you're struggling, you are down there, you get for the money, you get more money, you get more money, you reach to a particular point whereby now, after you get the money, you look for power. Why are you looking for power? Because you want to be respected, you want to be spoken highly of, you want to actually demarcate your thing and say, hey, this is me, this is how I do my things. All right, now point is this: when men get more money, they look for areas where they can be able to provide, people who can actually speak highly of. And see, men are made up of ego and something of sort. All right, and that's why you realize the moment they do this, they contemplate of getting, I don't know, third, second, whatever, the ladies out there and all those kind of things. Okay, but this is not a clear representation of all the men that exist in the world. No, I'm actually using the larger population to make this conclusion on this specific video. All right, now let's take an example of the other case of, and by the way, that's why you find actually a man can actually provide for the family like for the rest of his life and no complaining. But of course, there is a new breed that is coming in that is really complaining, and they want their women to contribute 50-50 in a house. I don't know. For me, where I'm born from and where I am and who I am, I do not really buy that idea. Now, let's go to the other part. The women now, see, men actually take money. Let me write this one for the purposes of you recording it if you're taking notes. Now, men usually view money as a what? As a, as a source of them capacity to provide. capacity to provide, and they provide for anybody who comes along. And that's why men usually feel good when they buy someone's coffee. Whenever they, you're like, we are like the five of us in a table, we take a meal, and then we are struggling. We say, allow me, let me just pay. No, let me pay. No, you should be struggling. And then at the end of the day, someone grabs the bill and goes and pays. See, there is that sense of, I'm the guy here. I'm the guy here. Okay. Now, when it comes to women, this is purely the psychology of money. When you come to women and money, they usually perceive money as a what? As a source of what? Freedom. Freedom in the sense that, yeah, I'm not saying there's no traces of freedom perception as far as money is perception for men, but for women, they perceive freedom on a different perspective. To them, since back then in ages, thousands of years ago, men or women, they were actually like the subordinate in the society. But nowadays, they are becoming high and they're actually elevating themselves, their position in society, and they have been perceiving this point of view. If you come from Africa, you can relate to this point, okay? And by the way, I respect all the genders. They are wonderful people. Now, if you come from Africa, you relate to this point. See, men are the one who provides everything. So, and they say what? He who feeds you controls you. And let me tell you one thing. Women are not really comfortable. It's only that they are not in a position to say so, but they really don't feel that thing of you guys controlling them or something of sort. So they tend to perceive, okay, the reason as why I'm being sort of quote unquote controlled, of which I do not advocate, it's not so good thing. So the reason as why they feel so is because you are the one who is providing for everything, the food, the shelter, everything, all the basics and everything. So they feel, okay, fine. The reason as why you're doing this is because you are in possession of the money. You're in the possession of the power. So if I can acquire that thing that is giving you the power, by the way, if you take man and money and you minus them, you get man without money, he cannot be able to control. That's for a fact. A man actually, as much as we are masculine, we also need to have the money as another factor for us to be in control. But if you take money and man and separate the two, man becomes all the way next to, I don't want to say the name. Now, when women get the money, now they actually get the power. They may not be masculine, but once they get the money, they associate that money as a way of actually living by themselves. By the way, that's why they tell you, hey, I'm making my own money, I'm paying my own bills, I'm doing all those kind of things. Why on earth would you tell me anything? I mean, after all, I got the money. Why? Because they perceive money as a freedom. And that's why I'm going to give you this example and go check it in your society. A man can feed a woman for 30 years. 30 years without complaint. No complaint. But let this lady feed you for 3 days. Bro, all of us, we will know you're being fed by a woman. And whenever there is a divorce, hey, they will say, hey, what kind of a man are you? See, I've been feeding you, I dress you, I do all these things. But there is a breed that is not even worried by that. But if you're a real guy out there, whenever those kind of words are uttered, you feel pinch deep inside of yourself. So the point is this: why can't we complain when we feed for or when we provide for the next 30 years? No problem, because that's basically how men are wired. But women are not really wired by this. Women are wonderful people, and they're actually wired on the sense that, hey, they are doing what? They are very good on some things, like, hey, they can take care of the families, they can also make money. And that's why there's some careers that they can get and also make some so good money, because they have some certain special, concentration deep inside of them that men do not have. For example, let's take an example of a kid. See, a lady has a capacity to actually nurture a kid and be with the kid whenever the kid is crying, to a point whereby he can even quiet the kid. But if you give that man, within the next 3 minutes, the guy is giving up, saying, hey, I cannot be, I'm off, I cannot be able to do this. Okay, now what does it mean? It tells you both men and women are wonderful people, and they're actually supposed to live in a sort of good ecosystem whereby we respect their position and they respect our position, and we get ourselves a very good environment whereby we can be able to be of importance to each other. So when you understand the psychology of the way men and women perceive money, then this one gonna help you in a lot of things and gonna solve a lot of problems that are out there. Just because they're not making money maybe in your home does not mean they ought not to be respected, and just because they are the one who's supposed to be providing something of sort, I believe they ought to be appreciated at the same time. So the issue is this: once you understand this concept, then you can be able to know, hey, this is how women perceive money, and this is how men perceive money. And if you were to bring that on board, then you can be able to go ahead and do something great as far as your lives are concerned. And guess what, guys? That marks the end of my video, but I have to remind you this: I always post a video each and every day talking about investments and anything related to exactly that. So if you don't want to miss any of my good videos in the future, do this. It doesn't cost you anything. It's free of charge. Down below there is a button written subscribe. It is in black. And by the way, it's on your right side, okay? Hit it, and also make sure that you turn the notification bell so be notified whenever I upload a new good video. Make sure that, by the way, you comment down below, tell me what you think. By the way, that's my observation. What's yours? Tell me. I do subscribe to this understanding. Just like an iron sharpens another iron, so do we learn from each other. And don't forget, my number is always on the description of this specific video. Shoot me a call. Let's have a conversation. I do believe that you got something that you can share as well. And by the way, if you need premium services, I do offer them, obviously, at a cup of coffee's price. Get that number, give me a call, and let's talk business. For now, it's a goodbye. See ya.